All right, let's dive into one of the hottest, or maybe I should say coolest trends in wellness, home cryotherapy. But here's the thing you might not expect. The biggest challenge isn't actually standing the cold, it's having enough power to create it in the first place. So, you're seriously thinking about bringing one of these incredible machines into your home? It's a pretty exciting idea for sure. But this really gets to the core of what we're talking about today. The real hurdle isn't just about psyching yourself up for the cold, it's about getting your head around the electrical reality of powering that deep freeze. Okay, first things first, let's make sure we're on the same page. A cryotherapy chamber is basically this high-tech pod that floods your body with incredibly cold, dry air. And when I say cold, I mean it. We're talking temperatures as low as minus 160 degrees Celsius, but only for a couple of minutes. The whole point is to give your body a quick, powerful shock that kicks its own natural healing and recovery systems into high gear. Now, you might be thinking, isn't this just a super fancy ice bath? Well, not exactly. The temperature difference alone is just massive. But the real game changer is the method. Cryo uses dry, cold air, not wet ice water. That dry cold makes it possible to handle way colder temperatures for a much shorter time. We're talking just 2 to 4 minutes versus, the 10 or 15 minutes you might shiver through in a traditional ice bath. It's faster, it's more intense, and a lot of people find it way more tolerable. So, how does this whole cold shock thing actually work its magic? Well, it's a pretty amazing 3-step dance inside your body. First, that extreme cold triggers vasoconstriction. Your blood vessels clamp down, pulling blood away from your skin and limbs and towards your vital organs. Then, the second you step out, the total opposite happens. Vasodilation. Your vessels fly open and this incredible wave of fresh, oxygen-rich blood rushes back through your entire body. And that rebound, that's the final step. It's what helps flush out inflammation and all that metabolic junk. And that whole process, it leads to this pretty compelling list of benefits. It's why these chambers are blowing up in popularity. Athletes are obsessed with them for crushing muscle soreness. People use them to manage chronic pain and inflammation. But it doesn't stop there. We're talking mood boosts from endorphins, better-looking skin, and even a little metabolic kick. So yeah, you can see why people are so excited about these things. All right, that all sounds amazing, right? But hold on. Before you start clearing a space in your garage, we have to do a reality check. We've got to look at the other side of the coin, the risks and the rules. Understanding the safety stuff is absolutely crucial before you even think about buying one. And look, this is super important. Cryotherapy is not for everybody. That cold shock puts a real strain on your cardiovascular system. So anyone who's pregnant or has any history of heart disease, uncontrolled high blood pressure, or severe diabetes, you have to stay away. For these groups, the risks just seriously outweigh any of the potential benefits. And here's another really crucial point to understand, especially in the US. The FDA has been crystal clear on this. Whole-body cryotherapy is not an approved medical treatment for any disease or condition. It is allowed for general wellness purposes. Think of it in the same category as a sauna or getting a massage. It's for well-being, not for curing an illness. And that brings us right to the heart of the matter. This quote from a master electrician, Peter, says it all. We've talked about what cryo does to your body, but now we have to talk about what it does to your house. Because to run a machine this powerful, your home's electrical system isn't just a small detail, it is the single most important factor. Which leads us to the main event, the hidden hurdle of powering your chamber. This is the stuff nobody really talks about when they're scrolling through those glossy online brochures. But trust me, getting this right is the difference between an amazing wellness experience and a really costly, potentially dangerous mistake. To really put this into perspective, just get a load of this number, 60 amps. Some of these home cryo chambers can pull that much power. For comparison, that's often more juice than a standard electric oven, which is already one of the biggest power hogs in a typical home. So yeah, you are not just plugging this thing into the wall next to your lamp. And because of that massive power draw, a dedicated circuit isn't just a good idea, it's completely non-negotiable. That means a professional has to run a brand new direct electrical line from your breaker panel straight to the chamber. No sharing, no shortcuts. If you try to share a circuit, you're not just going to be dealing with constantly tripped breakers. The worst-case scenarios are wires overheating inside your walls, a huge fire risk, or permanently frying the expensive, sensitive electronics in your new machine. So let's break it down a bit, because not all models are the same.
A typical single-person electric chamber usually needs a 240-volt line, kind of like your clothes dryer, with a 30 to 40 amp dedicated breaker. If you level up to a bigger multi-person unit, you could be looking at 50 or even 60 amps. And even the nitrogen-assisted models, which run on a more standard 120 volts, still need their own dedicated circuit to run safely and properly.
Okay, so knowing the specs is one thing, but how do you actually get your home ready? Let's walk through what a professional electrician's checklist looks like so you can see the real-world action plan. Any good licensed electrician is going to follow these 5 key steps. First, they'll do what's called a load calculation. That's basically doing the math to see if your home's main electrical panel can even handle this new massive load. Step 2, they'll install that all-important dedicated circuit. 3, and this is critical, they'll add GFCI protection. You know, that's the thing that prevents you from getting a nasty shock, and surge protection for the electronics. 4th is ventilation, because these units actually generate a lot of heat. And finally, they'll pull a permit, which makes sure everything is up to code and, really importantly, covered by your home insurance. This quote from Peter really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? I mean, investing in something like whole home surge protection might feel like just another expense. But when you think about it, compared to the huge price tag of the chamber itself, it's a relatively small price to pay for an insurance policy that protects your massive investment from a random power spike. All right, we have covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the science, the incredible benefits, the risks, and of course, the critical electrical reality. And that brings us to the final verdict, where you have to weigh all that amazing potential against the very practical, very real demands. And that really leaves us with this final thought. Home cryotherapy is undeniably on the cutting edge of wellness, and it offers some truly high-tech recovery benefits. But bringing it into your home means you have to face a high-voltage reality, one that requires professional planning and a serious financial investment beyond the machine itself. So now that you've seen what it really takes, is this the future of wellness that you see for your home? Thanks for watching.